me get my pants on.
Oh shit.
We're going.
It's debate time and I'm not wearing pants. The dreams have come true. No!
Hello, Internet.
Howdy, y'all. We're live, right?
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
This is
10-second delay.
All right. We're doing another cartoon
titties
debate.
come out.
So today we got Matt,
Hi.
we got Kyle, and we got Jim.
How did I get here?
And they're going to yell about cartoons and shit. Our
Mostly shit.
first question is most offensive children's cartoon. Starting with Matt.
I went with Merry Melodies. Do you want me to elaborate now or
Nah,
just name it?
just name it and pass it.
Okay.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I chose Veggie Tales.
All right.
And my answer for this one was Johnny Bravo. Huh.
All right. Bonk each other on the head.
All right. Well, I don't know how to make my eyes. Do that.
Wait, what'd you choose again?
Johnny Bravo.
Okay.
Why?
Why? Because Johnny Bravo is a creep. He's like a terrible like obviously every time Johnny Bravo's whole thing is he's trying to get laid basically, and he's a total creep. Gives like women completely unwanted attention, and it's like it plus obviously he's just kind of a general piece of shit. Who ends up befriending kids sometimes, and but he's just a total narcissist. He's like I said, a creep, and he's terrible. Why did you pick your answer?
Merry Melodies has 10 of the censored 11 cartoons in it. They're censored for blatant racism. All the black characters in it, they barely talk in sentences. They talk in made-up African languages. They're drawn in the most offensive manner imaginable, and that's just scratching the surface. There's also the violence of it that wouldn't, parents would complain. People get shot.
People should.
Cartoon violence is like that. I mean, it's. I mean, that's.
I'm just saying, this one ticks a lot of boxes. You have transphobia in it when Bugs dresses as a woman and like kisses Elmer Fudd or some black character, and they're like grossed out when they discover it's Bugs. But mainly the racism is just through the roof.
Well, I have overt Christian overtones and family values. This is the most offensive thing there is.
It's true.
So with
Freedom from religion.
With Johnny Bravo, I don't think it's terribly offensive. It would be offensive if they depicted the women as like stupid and falling for it and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's just a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's obviously
He's
a
Andrew
piece of
Dice
shit.
Clay as a fucking.
They
cartoon,
paint him as a
basically.
piece of shit, and it's clear that he's a piece of shit, and that's why he's offensive, because that's just to get a point why he's a piece of shit. I thought at first, when I heard Johnny Bravo, at first I heard Johnny Quest. Now there's some arguments that can be made for that, but now that I know it's Johnny Bravo, no, that's not the most offensive anything.
Yeah, it's everybody knows somebody like Johnny Bravo, and this is...
But they're a piece of shit.
They
They're,
are.
like-
I'm not saying the character isn't a piece of shit, but I'm saying that...
I mean, but here's the thing: is like just we can't just sit back and laugh at this misogynist piece of shit and have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point.
No, that is the whole point. He's a misogynist piece of shit. He gets what's coming to him, and then we laugh.
Yeah, he gets slapped, turned down, all sorts of things. It's not like the women are portrayed as just
No, the women
stupid
portrayed are usually they're smarter than him.
by far.
Everybody's smarter than him.
But
Exactly.
they're like scientists and doctors sometimes. Like, you never see that in cartoons otherwise. They're always just like the secretary or the assistant. Johnny Bravo actually has them in roles that are traditionally men roles. So it's kind of groundbreaking.
Mm.
No, no. Johnny Bravo is not groundbreaking.
And in VeggieTales, it's
It's just good old fashioned
Okay.
wholesome family.
I'm going
thing.
more. It's offensive because of the quality of the writing and the songs. Oh God, the songs.
kids eat that shit up.
Kids may eat this shit up, but my ears are horribly offended every time I have ever had to hear a VeggieTales music.
So the question is most offensive kids cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
meaning it's geared towards kids. So
Mm-hmm.
Jesus vegetables are definitely geared toward kids.
Well, in that case, Looney Tunes was not initially geared towards kids. It was geared towards all theater-going audiences. It was shown before
That's
big
true.
features, mainly.
Merry Melodies.
Yeah, Merry Melodies.
If you show a kid this, you're just ingraining racism into them.
Mm-hmm. My argument's that it wasn't initially meant for kids. It was a family cartoon. It was meant that had jokes for mom and dad, mainly the racism, and
Yeah, I mean, all the
it was full of
households loved racism.
pop culture references of the time, a lot of radio jokes, a lot of vaudeville gags, and things
Right.
like that.
But like the whole violence thing is like, I mean, that's always been the slapstick American go-to, obviously, and with cartoon violence, dropping an anvil on people's heads, or Elmer Fudd, having his gun twisted around him and shooting himself in the face and shit. I mean, that's the argument against kids shouldn't be seeing Elmer Fudd with the gun, and like that's just just silly.
I only brought that up to say it ticks boxes that other, like, it's, if you can look past the racism, well, if you can look past the racism, you'll probably also look past the guns. But then you have,
If you look past the racism, you probably love guns.
But then you have Bugs Bunny dressing in drag. That's going to offend the people who are pro-gun and pro-racism.
So they're like going to be alienating their own
Yeah.
audience.
So it's going to offend a lot of people in some way.
Let's go ahead and roll out the closing.
Okay, with Johnny Bravo, like I said, it portrays women not as just damsels falling for his shtick. They actually think for themselves and are willing to tell him off and defend themselves. And I don't think that's offensive. Johnny Bravo himself might say some things that are considered offensive, but he always gets what's coming to him, and that's to teach your kids not to be like that. VeggieTales, it's Christian propaganda. We live in a Christian nation. We're going to have, when VeggieTales is done, we're going to have the next VeggieTales. Something else to fill that void. With Merry Melodies, they had to pull originally 10. There have been more pulled for racism, for violence, and then on top of it you have the transphobia. And I just feel like you can go watch any episode of VeggieTales or any episode of Johnny Bravo. Merry Melodies is so offensive, you have to dig deep to even find some of these cartoons.
So it's actually made for just children, VeggieTales. It's offensive because it's just really badly made and badly written and just has bad music. And yeah, and it promotes like weird Christian values that probably spawned a whole generation of shitty traditionalist men that we are experiencing with right now. And that's my argument.
Well, I think that part of this argument, we have to really consider setting and audiences. My cartoon, Johnny Bravo, or my pick, is a more modern cartoon. It's like 20 years old. With Merry Melodies, you know, not that this makes it okay, but I mean, in the last 15, 20 years, kids aren't having a lot of like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck birthday parties and shit. Kids don't really watch that stuff anymore. You know, it was more popular when those, and you know, maybe for good reason, maybe, but it was more popular when those things weren't offensive, or weren't as offensive to larger audiences, and you know, again, adults. There were, you know, adult jokes and stuff mixed in there as well. With VeggieTales, you know, the thing is that, like, yeah, you and I are not going to be going and watching VeggieTales, but for the audience, you know, it's a more modern thing, and for the audience that is going to be watching it, it's not offensive. But I think that, you know, when you're, you know, having a good old time watching Dexter's Laboratory, and then Johnny Bravo comes on, you know, hitting women, or not hitting women, but like grabbing on women, and, you know, trying to make out with them and all this stuff, and you know, hitting on them, and, you know, not taking a hint, not taking no for an answer. You know, in the time when it was popular, that is, I think, more offensive to the audience who would watch it than either of your picks.
Okay. All right. He did bring up a good point about like the time frame in which Merry Melodies came out. But that ain't a fucking nuclear bomb of an answer. Yeah, Merry Melodies wins it.
Do you want
See, I didn't want to help your
facts
answer.
or anything?
Yes.
Okay. First off, Merry Melodies had 9 of the 11. One was a Looney Tunes. They were initially censored.
What's the other one then? I knew one was Looney Tunes. I thought.
Actually, no. One was 11. No, you're right. 10 more. They're just grouped differently because it's grouped by date. The 11th was initially banned, and then it was reissued in the 50s. But they were all initially like removed completely from syndication in 1968. First one being released in 1931. The most recent was 44, but it was also reissued again in 51. I didn't look up any facts about VeggieTales just because I don't want to.
You don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Don't want that on research.
The creator of VeggieTales is originally part of the Christian freak folk scene. That's all I know.
And if I don't really have super facts about Johnny Bravo, but I did find a list of things or times where he was over the toply inappropriate. And personally, I would have stated if I were you that something along the lines of, and just purely for argument, there's nothing factual that could actually back it up, but I would have cited Johnny Bravo as leading to, because it was our age demographic that watch that show. Leading to modern date rape culture, that could have been an argument. There is a time where Johnny Bravo is working for a teen hotline. He it's clearly a teen hotline in the show. He asks a teenage girl what she's wearing. There's another
Bugs
time
Bunny never did that shit.
he tells a child to call him when she's of legal age, in reference to Susan. The episode, it's a crossover with Scooby-Doo. He and Daphne go off screen and clearly do fuck.
Him and Daphne?
Yeah.
Like with the glasses?
No, it's not.
No,
The redhead?
yeah,
Oh, okay. Whoa.
one with the neckerchief.
Nice pull, Johnny.
Yeah. Oh, mama.
There's a lot of scantily clad women. He does look at a lot of centerfold magazines. Given the cover doesn't show anything, but like everybody knows, like that thing.
Yeah,
the
Master
angels
Roshi
in
looks
the
at the
center.
magazine
Like,
and his nose bleeds.
had you looked up a couple of like examples, like specific examples you could have? No.
You know, honestly,
Johnny
when you-
Bravo was also my pick for the.
When you started talking about Merry Melodies and being racist, I was like, well, Johnny Bravo doesn't wear the white menstrual gloves at least, so there's
Yeah. Mickey Mouse do though.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. You know, I didn't want to, like, I actually thought about mentioning that as to like tear yours down, and I was like, that doesn't really help though. If I'm like, Mickey Mouse does the same shit. Doesn't make it any better.
Alright, so we got enough facts.
Yeah, sure. And there's some other Johnny Bravo shows.
True facts.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to go through the entire
Any
list.
VeggieTale facts?
The cucumber once won an Oscar for.
Tell me some tomato facts.
I mean, I
like to talk to tomatoes. I forgot the rest of the lyrics of the song.
There's a I typed into Google VeggieTales offensive. There's a Fox News headline from December of 2018. VeggieTales is racist and dangerous for children.
From Fox of all. Wow.
But
See,
I'm also not clicking on
that should be a retroactive win for me. You're
Fox
bad.
News says you're racist. You're fucking
Oh,
racist.
wait.
Sorry, just because you had a Christian pick doesn't mean it's going to rise 3 days later. I'm sorry.
The full headline was VeggieTales is racist and dangerous for children. California students claim.
Oh, so they're arguing against that, probably.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Okay. So next question that was picked was best Adult Swim cartoon. Is that right? Is that what was picked?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
my question.
That was your question. So, go on.
The best Adult Swim cartoon is, of course, by far, Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I went with Rick and Morty.
I went with the originator, Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
All right, go at it.
All right, so Space Ghost Coast to Coast is the best and the first, and it had a hot guest star every week. It had great comedy with your host Space Ghost and your co-host and band leader Zorak, and then you got your Brack. Bark,
Which did lead to his own spin-off show.
and even the producer, the Magma Man, whose name I forgot.
Moltar.
Yeah. And each of them had their own clearly defined personality, and they played off each other well, and the voice actors were great, and how they spliced up the interviews and redid them and just made everything hilarious with the interviews was pretty great too.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I can appreciate Space Ghost, but it feels it always felt like a little bit stale. But like I like the random weirdness of it. But Aqua Teen Hunger Force takes that random weirdness, turns it up to 11. Plus, you have fucking cameos by the likes of fucking Zach Wilde, Glenn Danzig, fucking I think Geddy Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And
Pretty sure all of those people were guests on Space Ghost.
And like, you know, like obviously the OG fucking MCP Pants, MC Chris, got his whole fucking career started through Aqua Teen Hunger Force. But not only that, that's just talking about cameos. You're talking like it's a well-rounded group, obviously, of characters. You have Meatwad, Master Shake, who's just an asshole. Meatwad, who's kind of an innocent, you know, kid basically. Frylock kind of holding it all together. You got the asshole neighbor Carl. You got the fucking, and then, you know, obviously your one-offs and your enemies and your fucking Brood Witch and your Witch Doctors and your Sofa Kings. And like, it's, you know, it's a random weird good time. It was peak millennial humor basically. What did you pick?
Rick and Morty, man.
Oh.
It's full of people who talk like this. Oh my!
If you want to talk about characters, Rick and Morty they're all ingrained in pop culture. Even like just ones that are in there for an episode, like Mr. Poopy Butthole. Like, everyone knows who you're talking about when you say that. Bird person. The writing of it is brilliant. You have episodes that will make you cry, like Rick Potion number 9.
I mean, what's his face has to get drunk just to make the fucking show? Like,
Dan Harmon?
yeah.
Justin Roiland.
Oh.
Like whoever, like the dude that does the voice of Rick and others, like, you know, and like that's unnecessary. I feel like if you got to get wasted to be able to act and really sell your writing, then it's not that fucking good. Like, you ever heard of acting?
Have you ever heard of method acting? He's playing an alcoholic. He's got to be an alcoholic, man.
No, he doesn't. That's the thing. Is like,
it's that Daniel Day-Lewis shit. Like the writing of Rick and Morty is far superior to either Space Ghost or Aqua Teen. The voice acting is superb. You have great cameos in this. John Oliver as the amoeba thing in the episode where they the anatomy part one.
but here's the thing. At least ours is
I
like.
have so much to say.
I
I'm
mean,
blanking.
Space Ghost is you know it's kind of a remix, but like, and Aqua Teen, but Space Ghost and Aqua Teen are both original things. It's not just Back to the Future fan fiction. Like, you know, they. Go ahead.
If it were Back to the Future fan fiction, they would have time travel, a thing that Justin Roiland has said will never be in Rick and Morty. There's even a box on the shelf that says, like, failed time travel devices. It's never going to be time travel.
Well, there's been, like, not... Like, more... I mean, obviously it's universe jumping, but it's still fucking time travel at times. Like, you know, and, like, multiple people coming back to, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, you know, get in a fucking DeLorean and go to, you know, 88 miles per hour or whatever. But, like, it's still, you know, roundabout time travel. And, like, and obviously, you know, that was the original idea, is just to fucking, you know, make a parody of Back to the Future, which may or may not be blasphemy. The debate's still out.
I mean, that was the original short, and then he got the cease and desist, and he turned it into something so much more than just a Back to the Future parody.
Mm-hmm. Now it's a Back to the Future parody wrapped in a Doctor Who parody.
It's kind of a parody of everything. Like, every episode takes a sitcom trope and a sci-fi trope and melds them together and makes for some great comedy, some great character moments, and sometimes some heart-wrenching moments.
I think that the fan base that's attached itself to Rick and Morty automatically discounts it as the greatest cartoon ever. You can be the greatest cartoon ever, but once you have a toxic fan base attached to you, I'm not admitting it.
Let's get swifty. Wubba lubba dub dub.
I don't want to talk about it with you, the Rick and Morty fan.
I think a lot of people who aren't toxic like Rick and Morty, I mean, I know I love Rick and Morty. I don't feel like I'm that pencil pushing fucking, let me explain time travel to you sort.
Oh, you don't like Rick and Morty? You must not be smart enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
Pickle Rick!
And I feel like people would enjoy Rick and Morty if they like watched it and detached themselves from that fan base. I think there's a lot in there for everybody.
I think it has that Chappelle Show factor where, like, deep in it, there's like really good comedy and really good stuff going on, but all that surface stuff that people latch onto with the catchphrases and just like shoving it down, it makes me sick of it as a cultural phenomenon and like less likely to engage with it as a show.
And I mean, honestly, a lot of the interesting like concepts of in Rick and Morty, the quote science, pseudoscience shit, fucking Aqua Teen Hunger Force did it first.
Yeah,
fucking
you know who
fair-
did it before Aqua Teen Hunger Force, though? Space Ghost fucking Coast to Coast!
I was gonna say The Simpsons.
Simpsons did it.
Oof.
But
They're not in this.
but like, I mean, Space Ghost was a talk show basically.
It's
Yeah.
no, it was the best talk show because it was made out of reappropriated footage from a forgotten cartoon hero from the 70s, 60s, and just like made it into this piece of just pure comedy.
Well, mine had Metal Legends in it.
So did mine.
And what was it, the Foreigner belt? You guys
Yeah.
don't have that. You guys don't have a Foreigner belt. You don't have Carl.
No, you
You
don't have
Pretty
Zorak.
Carl.
You don't have Zorak.
I have Snowball, the highly intelligent dog that pilots a mech.
There's mechs in Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I'm sure there's
Me
a
what
mech
had
on
one.
Space Ghost somewhere.
Aqua Teen is really hit or miss. Like, you'll have
Hold on.
episodes that are kind of funny.
Which one regularly featured C. Martin Croker? Mine.
Did you guys have a feature film from your show? Because my show turned into a feature film.
A feature film that was such a nightmare that Adult Swim said that they would never ever make another feature film again.
No, but mine
I mean,
launched an entire half of Cartoon Network. No Adult Swim without Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That's where William Street started. That's where all the key players that went on to make the shows like C Lab, Harvey Birdman, Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I was watching C-Lab the other day.
That's where they all started, and working together. They were the creators and writers and producers on Space Ghost, Coast to Coast.
Yours laid the groundwork, Space Ghost. Aqua Teen was a
Early
nice
success.
little thing that ran for it all. Rick and Morty is what's keeping it going at this point. Fucking, they have such an
How many
impact.
seasons does Rick and Morty have?
Currently 3, but they
At
are-
11.
Well, that's still airing. It's not canceled. They
You gotta know when to get off the boat, though.
They fought Adult Swim, and they got picked up to
Is it the
break
track from my
100.
argument to give a shout out? Because I think people also still come back to Adult Swim for Venture Brothers.
That they do.
And that would have been, if I couldn't have done my 2 before it, I would have gone definitely with Venture Brothers. But that's not what I'm arguing for. I'm arguing for Space Ghost, Coast to Coast.
And we already had Rick and Morty versus Venture Brothers in the last cartoon debate. So.
I'm sure there are
You argued
You were there.
You were there.
Was I there?
It was best adult cartoon series.
Yeah.
Which is clearly King of the Hill.
I've forgot things.
You want to close?
Yeah, go ahead and close.
My closing argument, I just want to point out that, Matt kind of pointed this out, but Space Ghost was like Jim said, the original. But I think there were a lot of Adult Swim cartoons that did it better. Like I said, it was a little more toned down than a lot of things because it was, the kind of the beginning of the whole deal. They didn't know what they could get away with yet and what people would actually enjoy. Like I said, everything that's great about Space Ghost is in Aqua Teen Hunger Force turned up a few notches. All the randomness, like I said, it's peak millennial humor. The cast, the characters are, there's somebody, a different type of character for everyone, plus your one-offs, plus all of your cameos by music legends. And, like I said, with Rick and Morty, it's not like the original, idea is not original. Like the beginning is not original, like as much as Space Ghost and Aqua Teen. And all of the interesting things that they do with like the pseudoscience and jumping to parallel universes and all this different shit. Aqua Teen Hunger Force did it. Aqua Teen Hunger Force ran for 11 seasons, had its own feature film, and that's why it's the best Adult Swim cartoon.
Aqua Teen ran for 11 seasons because it's cheap as fuck to make, and enough people stuck around for what came before and after it to not turn off the channel. It was good enough to not turn it off to catch your anime when Aqua Teen went off, or whenever anime switched to Fridays and or Saturdays. Robot Chicken or whatever fucking show you wanted to stick around Adult Swim for. Rick and Morty. With Rick and Morty, it became just this phenomenon. Like, McDonald's couldn't hold Szechuan sauce because Rick and Morty mentioned it in an episode.
Also manufactured scarcity, but we'll get into that.
And you have the characters. Sure, they started as a Back to the Future parody, but they've gone so far beyond that. You can't tell me the dynamic between Rick and Morty and Doc and Marty is remotely similar. You have the TV trope with the sci-fi trope blended together to just make great storytelling. It has episodic episodes, but there has this great overarching plot. It's just brilliant writing. The animation is it matches the tone of the show, which is great. It's not just this thing that we've already pre-rendered doing pre-rendered shit. It's not we're taking stills from, or mild animations from a 1960s cartoon and just dubbing over them with like some added little backgrounds and stuff. It has original animation. I don't know, to me it's just the best Adult Swim show. It's the only reason to keep coming back to Adult Swim.
Yeah, so Space Ghost Coast to Coast was pure comedy. It was, it didn't rely on satire. It didn't rely on gross out humor or just crassness for the sake of crassness, like Aqua Teen would often. It wasn't over reliant on cultural references or running in the room. There's 3DSs for sale. If you buy a 3DS, we all get a 3DS. We can flip them on eBay. Keep one for ourselves. I remember that scene a lot. It was just 4 characters stuck on a space station with a satellite feed of just like some chopped up junket interview of a celebrity that they got and could recut for comedy purposes. And from that sprang an entire channel of cartoons that allowed for the success of an Aqua Teen Hunger Force or a Rick and Morty. And I think that's why it was the best Adult Swim cartoon, because it made Adult Swim.
Okay.
Also, it ran for 13 seasons.
Okay.
Did not realize that.
The last 2 were on Game Tap.
Y'all have some sound arguments. Because what with Space Ghost being the groundwork for what Adult Swim even is, but and Aqua Teen being just the longest mainstay throughout the network for the most part, and then Rick and Morty being the current hottest take on Adult Swim. So I'm gonna give it to Aqua Teen.
Hell yeah. Do you want facts?
Yeah, what you got?
Number 1 in the hood, G.
I have so many tabs open. So
I didn't even really get
just
it.
gonna jump around a fuck ton.
My computer's gonna explode.
I didn't really look up too much on Aqua Teen because it never really stated too many facts about it. The one fact you did state that was inaccurate was you said MC Chris got his start on it. He actually did voice work for C Lab 2021.
He did.
Yep.
Actually, I think he was one of the
Ash.
producers.
Yeah, he was one of the producers.
But he I actually misspoke. I meant to say that like that's where he kind of blew up from was Aqua Teen more than Sea Lab.
There's also Matt. You mentioned the cease and desist. I don't know if the way you mentioned it, you didn't really specify. I don't know if you mentioned it in reference to receiving a cease and desist specifically for the Real Animated Adventures of Doc and Marty, but he actually received the cease and desist for House of Cosby's,
Yeah.
which I fucking love.
I love House of Cosby's.
Yeah. The first time I saw Rick and Morty, I was like, why the fuck does that guy's voice sound familiar? And then like 4 episodes into it, I was like, House of Cosby's! Space Ghost,
R.I.P.
Where,
Zorak.
where do I start with Space Ghost? Space Ghost, technically considered to be the first Cartoon Network original series. It was created by Mike Laszlo, who went on to the production company up until 1999 was what was it? Ghost Planet Industries, but in '99 switched to William Street, which then kicked off the creation of Adult Swim. The actual first cartoon, though, itself to air on Adult Swim was called Movies.
That was a good time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There was something else. But yeah, the reason why they I'll backtrack a little bit. Space Ghost Coast to Coast actually started in '94. Like I said, it's the first Cartoon Network original series. The reason was because at the time, and this isn't factual, I actually kind of know this, or actually, I mean, it is factual, but I didn't need to read this. They only had the rights to Hanna-Barbera shit at the time, and that's the people that worked at the network were kind of bored with just like running like, essentially, Cartoon Network started out as what Boomerang is now.
Right.
They kind of got bored with that.
Flintstones and shit.
They were dudes in their like mid to late 20s, kind of bored with it, so they started playing around with like, all right, we have the rights to these characters. What can we do with them? Which led to the creation of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and also Sea Lab 2021, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. Also, there were two. I don't know if anybody remembers these two Space Ghost spin-offs, Cartoon Planet and The Brak Show. Which I believe somebody did
The Brak
mention The Brak
Show was
Show.
dope.
Somebody did mention The Brak Show.
Yeah. That was another first run, like, Adult Swim thing. It was pretty successful, but it didn't last nearly as long.
How many seasons did Coast to Coast run?
So 13.
13.
But that the last two were on King
Game
Tap.
Tap.
Yeah, I looked it up a second ago, but I closed the window or clicked on something else. Because I was trying to, you mentioned guests, and I was trying to find specific the guests he remembered or he mentioned or being on Aqua Teen, but by the time like
I'm pretty sure
I kind of
Danzig.
forgot about it, and there's so many goddamn guests on it
Oh, God.
that like I couldn't mention it
No.
all.
There was a lot.
There's actually 11 seasons, but 2 pilot episodes,
That's probably
and
where
then
it
3
got
specials. So, roughly 13 different iterations, because there's 2 pilots, 11 seasons, and then the specials they ran.
I'd say 12 overall if we're just going by episode count.
Yeah. Episode count, there are 108 total episodes.
Man, syndicate that shit.
Do it for the homie. Alright.
But yeah, there were too many fucking guests to even...
David Cross,
Pretty good.
and it had Bob and David on there. I remember that because it was a special on the Run Ronnie Run DVD.
I mean, it had everyone from Weird Al to Eartha Kitt.
Right.
It had fucking everybody.
Yeah. It was great.
All right.
It's my
So
favorite.
the next question,
Noah's question.
Noah's question, who couldn't make it, was best cartoon pilot that didn't get picked up. Starting with Jim.
Welcome to Eltingville. Based on a comic strip by Evan Dorkin, produced by Evan Dorkin, who was an early Space Ghost producer as well, and features the Eltingville Club, which is a tight-knit group of constantly bickering nerds that hang out at the comic book store, and yeah.
Do you
I
have
didn't.
one?
I didn't pick anything. I'm gonna sit this one out.
Okay.
Defaulted.
Korgoth of Barbaria, another Adult Swim potential show.
That was a good one too. Oh boy. So
With Korgoth, you had Gendry Tartakovsky, who did a lot of Dexter's Lab and other things, and I forget his first name, but Springer. He had a couple other failed pilots, but he also did work on Gravity Falls, SpongeBob, Dexter's Lab, and these two kind of collaborated on this pilot, and it was awesome. Ultraviolence fit the tone perfectly for Adult Swim, would have fit the tone perfectly if they would have shopped around for HBO, things like that. Anything could have picked this up at the time.
yeah, no, mine wasn't about over the top violence or anything like that. It was all about these 4 or 5 nerd dudes and fighting. Or the episode's based on the comic strip that was also published back in the day, where one of them finds a rare Boba Fett action figure with the spring-loading missile, and they all get in a big fight over it, and it's about how each of them just kind of have I don't know, it's kind of like a Simpsons did it moment, like when they all find the radioactive man. They end up all fighting over it, and there's a lot of zingers, a lot of nerd humor. Yeah.
This has a lot of dark comedy. It's pretty much Adventure Time for adults. It's like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Magic is returned. You got Korgoth, who's kind of like a parody of Conan the Barbarian. He just wants to fight and fuck.
Mm-hmm.
He kills people in brutal and hilarious ways. The supporting cast is all a bunch of, comedic relief, whether it be, the straight man comedic relief, like Korgoth does something over the top and violent, and just their reaction makes you laugh, or they're even more over the top, just not as violent. It laid the groundwork for what I feel would be a great show that would have similar world building to Adventure Time, only with a more mature, subject matter and audience base.
I think the strength of my show is clearly going to be the writing. Like Evan Dorkin, longtime Adult Swim writer, a longtime indie comic book writer, creator of Milk and Cheese, and he's really good at just like these irreverent, just dorky characters, and his art style is very singular. It's like you can look at something and just be like, okay, that's definitely Evan Dorkin's cartooning, and he brings a lot of his own flair to it in a way that just makes it pretty hilarious.
It's just kind of funny to see the two, well, the creator and the director Gendry Tartakovsky come together, and
I think he's actually Baratheon. Sorry.
from like this child, young adult to child, styles of shows. Like Gravity Falls is on Disney. Dexter's Lab is obviously like, for like 12 to 14 year olds, and then make something so fucking over the top and violent. And they keep it light at the same time though, with that blend of comedy. I feel like it the only reason it didn't get picked up was because Adult Swim deemed it too expensive, and this was in 2006, so they didn't have like all of that revenue coming in from like Rick and Morty and shit like that at the time. And I feel like if they were to reintroduce it to them at this point, it might get picked up. They do air it like once a year, and people tune into it still, the pilot that is. They announce it's gonna play again, and people tune into it. There is an audience for it. I feel like if they would have shopped it around a little more, or I don't know why they didn't. They might be contractually obligated to Adult Swim. At least Springer. Obviously Gendry isn't, but he only directed it. Yeah, I just feel like it. I watched it again the other night, and it was just as funny, and I could turn it on right now. I haven't seen yours or really know about it.
Yeah.
It sounds.
It's very funny. So I think the pilot originally aired probably the second or third season of like Adult Swim shows. Whenever they were first, it was like that same batch around Perfect Hair Forever of just pilots that didn't go anywhere for a while. It's like, how long did it take Perfect Hair Forever to get a season? Long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, no, it's just really like, I don't know, hits that 90s slacker comedy nerve of mine and just kind of sits there like a good 90s slacker comedy should. And it kind of speaks to like that old comic book shop culture that you don't really get anymore, and just how like small town like cliques all have their own little infighting, and just like these dudes that are essentially friends also just backstabbing the hell out of each other because they're bored and they got nothing better to do. And yeah.
Go ahead and roll it into your closing.
My closing argument is Evan Dorkin is a rare combination of a top-notch comedy writer with top-notch visual ability in character creation and visual design. So it's going to always kind of come out as a top-rate cartoon with him. And it's a shame that it didn't get made into a pilot, because those characters could have been great if they were fleshed out a bit more and had an opportunity to be fleshed out a bit more.
Yeah, like with. Do you have anything to say?
My closing argument is, I've never seen pilots for shows that don't exist.
They exist as pilots.
Okay, it's your turn.
With Korgoth, you get this fantasy setting with geeky humor, and also just plain humor, and then you have like the darker, like people get their legs cut off, but it's like in comedic ways. Everybody's reaction to it is hilarious. You're laughing the whole way through the Korgoth pilot. In just 22 minutes, they set up some great world building. You understand these characters, you understand the world they're in, and it would have been great to see that expanded upon. With the Ellingtonville, it sounds like it's a very niche sort of humor. Like you'd have to frequent comic book shops and things like that to really buy into it. I kind of understand why that didn't get picked up, but with Korgoth, their only reasoning was it was too expensive to make, and the animation is superb, so I understand that, but I feel like revisiting that now it could easily get picked up, whereas it's never going to be dated. Like fantasy is becoming more and more popular. And Korgoth, if it would have been picked up, would have been a driving force, and it might be even more popular today than it currently is.
All right. So distinct differences in both of your all's arguments. Jim, you focused more on like why you enjoy that pilot and why it's good to you.
Yeah.
Where Matt, you explained why Korgoth has something for just about everyone.
Yeah.
And because of that, Korgoth wins.
Man.
So if you're just tuning in, this is Real Dumb. Make sure to follow us on Facebook. Follow us on
Subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, subscribe on YouTube.
Hit that like button.
Check out
Click on that bell.
www.realdumb.com.
And add me on MySpace.
Yeah.
Follow
Hit
me
up
on Twitch or
AOL
something.
Instant Messenger.
Chat with us on. Oh, we don't have a Discord yet.
I have
No, the IRC chat room though is up and going.
As far
Okay.
I have a Netscape disc I'm planning to install.
Both were pilots for Adult Swim. Korgoth was not picked up due to budgeting reasons. It was just expensive to make.
When I was looking through pilots, that was actually one that really caught my eye. Though. I
Welcome
haven't
to
watched it.
It's on YouTube.
what's it called?
Eltingville.
Eltingville.
Yeah.
Eltingville. Based on a comic written by Evan Dorkin. Evan Dorkin also wrote for Space Ghost Coast to Coast. He wrote for Superman the Animated Series as well.
Mm-hmm.
He seems to have done a lot of stuff. Aaron Springer was the name you were looking for. He mostly known for, apart from Korgoth, mostly known for children's shit. He was the director of one season of Gravity Falls. I don't know, as far as pilots go, I don't know if it would have been counted. There was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer promo that's about 5 minutes long. If that would have been counted, that would have been my argument. Never quite made it to a full pilot because the network was like, no, that's just way too dark. Because they kind of went the same route the show did, but like it's a cartoon, so like you can just straight up stab somebody in the heart and like shit like that. The entire cast returned except for she who shall not be named.
Who's that? Who?
Voldemort.
Are we talking about Allison Hannigan?
No.
No, it's the one that never returns to Buffy things. Buffy.
Even though it made
Fucking
her
Buffy.
career.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question is worst CGI cartoon of all time. Starting with Matt.
Reboot the whatever code. I don't even fucking. Yeah, fuck that show.
It was Guardian Code.
Guardian Code.
Was that the sequel shit?
Yes.
Reboot.
The reboot of
The
reboot?
reboot.
Okay. I chose Xavier Renegade Angel.
And I went with VeggieTales.
Back to VeggieTales.
Oh boy!
I actually almost picked it for most offensive too, almost.
Oof.
All right.
So VeggieTales is, just a vehicle to indoctrinate children into a worldwide cult. And the animation isn't even that great. It's like literally the 3D animation is the most basic of like if you have just learned how to render an object in 3D, you can make VeggieTales.
Graphic design is my passion.
right.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, based on Xavier Renegade Angel, that I've seen better computer animation in a 1996 CD-ROM game. Straight up, that stuff is horrible.
Granted, the reboot has the better, I'm not going to say good, but it has better CGI than these two. It is a worse show than these two, though. Adult Swim has that fucking random ass, gross out humor every step of the way. Xavier Renegade Angel fits that. We just said Korgoth was too expensive to make. Of course, it has low budget animation. They won't pick up good shit that costs money to make them money. They pick up the shitty shit to fill a time slot. But Xavier Renegade Angel was actually an enjoyable show. The humor was
Everything
pretty
was
spot
so
on.
deadpan. Like, the voice acting was terrible. The animation was terrible. The writing was pretty Like, I just bounced off. I've never bounced off an Adult Swim show so hard in my life as I did off of Xavier Renegade Angel.
VeggieTales is a national treasure.
No, it's used to brainwash children, dude.
Yeah.
Like literally, and not only that. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that makes VeggieTales even worse is that even from a Christian perspective, they completely bastardize the stories. There's none of the like. It's for kids, so they leave out all the murder and all the killing and all the half of the fucking stories that they're telling. They don't show. People getting turned into pillars of salt and shit. So even from a Christian perspective, it's fucking terrible, and it's a complete bastardization of the stories. And reboot. Like I've not seen the reboot. The original reboot I remember fondly. The animation wasn't great, but I remember liking the show a whole lot. And for the time, it was really state of the art.
Yeah.
I think just them trying to bring it back. It deserved that.
Did they actually try to bring it back?
It deserved
though?
that.
So
It was a.
my show doesn't
we'll
even
call it
have indoctrination or nostalgia to fall back on. It is purely a new creation, pure and utter subpar crap. It is not an enjoyable show in the least from any perspective that I've seen. Even the sound design is budget and crappy.
Well, the thing about any Adult Swim show is that there are plenty of Adult Swim shows that any one person will be put off by it, but I'm sure there are people who really enjoy it too.
I hate Tim and Eric, but
Right.
they fucking have gone on to do so much other awful shit.
It's it's not your cup of tea, but I'm sure there are plenty of people who enjoy it for what it is.
That's same
adult.
with VeggieTales.
Well, there are people who enjoy it, but that's not the point.
It
They're
has
children being brainwashed, these young minds.
That has
being
nothing
molded.
to do with the quality of it as a thing.
It has good
Yeah,
songs.
No, it doesn't. It has catchy songs to brainwash children with, and like I said, just for the the quality of the animation itself is like I said. I mean, it's obviously it's more modern. They have technology to be able to make the fucking tomato look really fucking shiny, but it's the most basic. You can 3D render a fucking sphere. You've made VeggieTales. Make it oblong, you got a cucumber, welcome to VeggieTales.
So, so there's that, but then there's also only being able to do that and trying to animate a walking, talking thing and calling it Xavier. That thing is so horribly designed.
VeggieTales, before I forget, it has good songs, it has classic retellings of classic stories, done in a way that children can stomach. It doesn't just force it.
So you mean that children shouldn't be told Bible stories because they're not child appropriate? So don't brainwash your kids with this shit?
I don't know how it's brainwashing. I mean,
Are you calling Jesus a bad writer?
It's indoctrination. If that's your belief as an adult, then fine, but you shouldn't be forcing kids into this with bastardizations of the stories. It's not even the actual story. So these kids grow up believing shit that's not even the religion that they think they're following.
Remember that time Jesus just took a nap for 3 days? Nothing happened to him. He was just sleeping.
Yeah, just like Batman's parents. They're just sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think it's actually indoctrinating them. I think they still have the choice. It's not like a brainwashing tool. It's just showing them the story. Sure, they cut out the violent parts, but that's true of like Spider-Man. It told you the story of Spider-Man, but he couldn't punch anybody.
Or disturb the pigeons.
The bad guys couldn't have guns.
Exactly. Every kid's show that's retelling a classic story is going to have to take some liberty to make it air.
Batman can't break glass.
Yeah, shit like that. Xavier Renegade Angel, it is by far not the worst Adult Swim show, CG show. It's middle of the road. The reboot, you said it has the nostalgia, but it doesn't. You turn on one episode because you're nostalgic for it and you want a continuation to that show that aired a decade ago and just got cut off, and you don't get that. it's not good enough to draw in new audiences, and it doesn't have anything that people who watch the classic reboot would come back for.
Did it have Enzo?
No.
Did it have Megabyte?
No.
Did it have Bob?
No.
Did it have Dot?
No.
Did it have that one stupid robot from the restaurant that always like broke stuff?
I don't think so.
Shit. Like, oh yeah, no, the waiter robot. Yeah, or the
It supposedly
Codsword.
took place in the same universe as the original reboot.
Did user just
But-
never upgrade his computer?
It follows.
Is he still running in like a 486
Like in
in
st-
2008?
Instead of following like the anthropomorphized firewalls and pixels and shit, it sprites I should say, it follows 4 gamers, and they like get a little Power Rangers beep and they have to go into the computer.
Nope.
And- yeah, that's the new reboot.
At least it's bad enough to remember. I can't tell you the plot of a single Xavier Renegade
It
Angel
starts raining
episode.
blood, and Mother Nature had her period, and so he has to give Mother Nature a tampon.
Yeah.
That sounds like it would be a real episode. Though.
That sounds great. Is Slayer laying while this is happening?
I mean, it's gross out shock humor, but it's highbrow gross out shock humor.
That doesn't sound particularly highbrow.
It's just a bunch of shit Seth Green thought of when he was getting high in the voiceover studio. Like,
And it's made for people to get high and chuckle at.
Everybody loves watching Seth.
So is
Green.
VeggieTales.
No.
Reboot Guardian Code is made for no one.
All right.
Mm.
Now that you all have buried these in the dirt, give me 3 minutes of telling me why this is the best CGI show of all fucking time.
which one?
All of them.
Starting with me, I guess.
I mean, just go
Oh.
at it.
Well, the thing about VeggieTales is if you're a Christian household and you want your kids to grow up with traditional Christian values, VeggieTales is a show that you want them to see and learn about Jonah and the whale and learn about, God and Jesus through the eyes of a cucumber and a tomato in an innocent way, so they can, they can understand these complex stories, morals, and
Kyle,
instill values in these children.
I feel like you, of all people, would be very against Christian indoctrination in a form such as VeggieTales. Like, it.
My show filled a time slot. It filled that time slot really well. It held up that half hour of time.
Seth Green has completely run out of ideas, man.
Of,
And
of all these shows, mine has the best animation by far. It.
Yeah, the studio. Yeah. Those
You-
Canadians.
Yeah, it aired on YTV and they canceled it. And then Netflix picked it up because they knew it was something special, and they gave us another season.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
I can't grin that hard. I'm fucking bleeding gums.
Whereas Xavier Renegade Angel got canceled after what, like 6 episodes?
VeggieTales goes on forever.
And ever.
So does the Bible.
Exactly. That's why
Like-
you always want VeggieTales in your household. If you're
No
a Christian,
one-
if you're a Christian family,
Those songs grate so much on
They should make a
anyone.
VeggieTales except it's about the
that's
stand.
any kids like any music like music from a kid's show is like that.
No,
And
in
it's
this,
catchy.
it has
It's
horrible music.
earwigs that get in these kids' heads and
in
teach them
this
about Jesus.
era where we have Disney doing some great stuff and Pixar doing some great stuff, and Into the Spider-Verse like changed what animation can be, VeggieTales has become stagnant and it's just doing the same fucking shit it's always been
Well,
doing.
not like here's the thing. Do you want if you're a traditional Christian household, do you want your kids learning about the heathens like Moana of Montanui? and the heathen gods that they worship, or do you want them to learn about Jesus? You want them to learn about Jesus if you're a Christian household. That's why VeggieTales is fantastic. It's been going for years. It's going to keep going.
My show is the #1 destination for pointless, gross out humor, and
It's not though.
It's just
That's
Seth Green
Family
getting
Guy.
high, making shows.
oh yeah, well you must have learned it from somewhere.
Family Guy is the #1 go-to for irrelevant, gross-out humor. VeggieTales is
You
what it
mispronounced
is.
South Park.
Oh, yeah, you got that too.
That's a strange way to pronounce Rick and Morty.
I feel like South Park though has a less of a fan base than Family Guy. Unfortunately.
Is it weird? I still kind of like South
No,
Park.
here's the thing. Nobody asked for a reboot, man. Like reboot.
But we got one,
like,
and
there-
it was great.
Like, maybe most people don't, like us in this room remember reboot, but most people don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. And then, like, to do it even less, it's less put together and less well done than the original. Like, obviously,
Is it though?
the time of
Xavier
animation
Renegade.
notwithstanding, obviously.
Xavier Renegade Angel. It's really good to watch when you're too high to change the channel after Adventure Brothers.
See, with Reboot, they took a concept that was good back in the mid '90s, and they had to flip it a little bit to make it
closing.
relevant for today's age, where technology has changed so much. And what better way? Like, who's gonna latch on to a sprite and just some lines of code anthropomorphized? So they got actual gamers to be the stars of this, and they have a diverse cast of them. Any kid can latch on to one of these characters and see themselves in it, going into their computer and playing a game. It's kind of like Tron in a way, and it's going to last the test of time as well as Tron has. And VeggieTales, it's fucking Christian propaganda. America's becoming less and less of a Christian nation. Their fan base is dropping by the day. Everybody knows these stories are bullshit. Kids are going to question it more than latch on to it at this point. And Xavier Renegade Angel, it sucks. I don't even know if it got 6 episodes. It's bad. The animation's awful. The main character, I don't even know what the fuck it is. It's like somebody played Mad Libs and just made a show out of it. Yeah. Go ahead.
My closing argument is that Xavier Renegade Angels is a very funny show. And it held that half-hour time slot down, and it had jokes and people who interacted with each other, and it's fun to watch when you're really baked, and you sometimes forget all of it because it's not really that rememberable.
My turn. With Xavier Renegade Angel, like if I want some good old fashioned Seth Green humor, I can check out Family Guy, I can check out Robot Chicken, hell, I can check out Can't Hardly Wait. Fuck that show.
I'm more of a fan of Go, but yeah.
Yeah, and Go was great. And with the reboot, like, here's the thing is, like, even if you are someone, one of the few people who remembers the original fondly and you want some more of that, it has nothing to do with that. Like, it's, the original, it has nothing to do with the original. It's, it's just trying to cash in on nostalgia for money and not doing a very good job of it. With VeggieTales, like I said, if you are a Christian household with Christian values and you want to instill that in your children, want them to learn about religion from an early age, it has child-appropriate retellings of these stories. so that they can learn about the morals that would be instilled in them. Nobody's making anybody watch VeggieTales that doesn't want to watch VeggieTales. Nobody's being Clockwork Orange into watching this shit. As far as propaganda is concerned, it's just Christian households trying to bring up their kids as good Christians, understand the Word of God, and in a way that's child appropriate until they're old enough to learn the fleshed out stories. And that's why VeggieTales is way better than you guys' shows.
You guys think this video is going to get banned for talking so much shit about VeggieTales?
No, honestly, I just want to see that Clockwork Orange parody.
Can't handle another cucumber.
VeggieTales. Yeah.
Ugh.
So, that was fun. You see,
Before you start talking, actually, I would like to state that I completely misunderstood the question, and I thought it was specifically supposed to be about animation.
no, it's
We'll see.
just worst by whatever you deem is, whatever worst.
That's
is.
what, my question when it was posted, I was like, is it about the animation or about the worst show? They said, interpret it how you will.
Yeah.
Well, that's not helpful. Just say it.
So I was like, I'm going to run with it.
Now, Matt, you did such a good job just burying this thing in the backyard that you didn't have enough energy to get it out and clean it off.
I feel like I did all right.
You did all right. And Jim, I'm trying to remember what your negative argument was for, but basically, you had a little bit of an argument on why it's terrible.
Yeah.
But like half of that argument as to why it's good, and then, well, you just kind of went full force both ways on VeggieTales there. So I'm gonna have to give it to Kyle for
All right.
VeggieTales.
That was fun.
'Cause normally when we do a switch up, it's before you get to put your foot in your
Right?
mouth.
Yeah.
I'm also sober,
Yep.
so this is weird.
So, yeah, huh?
Yep. It's all right though.
No one like that.
If you
We got
want to
the
still
blood.
participate in
Oh yeah, no, I get to do the draw too.
our
Right?
blind pitch, I have count 'em, 3 cups here. Did I knock anything in the floor? No. 1 cup has the studio. The other, a classic cartoon trope. And the other would be a setting. Draw 1 from each. And what's the time frame we normally give for this?
Whenever everybody's done peeing.
Yeah, piss while you gotta. I even color coded him.
How many things you got in that cup?
Huh?
How many things you got in that cup?
Anywhere between like 5 and 6, something like that.
Yeah, so studio setting, and I need a trope. Trade you.
I got one mine.
Shall have black, green, and red.
Out of curiosity,
Oh.
can I jump in this to either possibly help Luke out and steal a point from one of these two?
So are you saying that if you win, that he gets the point?
No, I'm saying if I win, neither of those two get the point. Because it's
Double
currently 2-2.
spoiler.
Oh, okay. Sure,
I
go
don't know
ahead.
what this means.
Give me them cups.
Okay, so like,
I want
Oh, okay.
this one. I want that one.
or anything like that.
I want that one. I didn't even read any of the cups. Pay attention when you're
Studio, trope, setting. Trope is red, studio is black, and setting is green.
Alright.
since no one has to piss, I'm gonna put 2 minutes, 1 minute on the clock.
Okay.
So we just got to pitch an episode, right?
You can go either way with this. You can either pitch me. Actually, no, wait, yeah. Pitch me a pilot.
Okay.
Pitch me a pilot. Yep.
All right.
Oh, wait a second. So that means we can't use like established characters?
No.
Fuck, that ruins my whole shit.
Define established.
I mean, a character that has been written. Well,
Define written.
actually, hold on. You can use characters that are owned by your studio, but
Right.
they can't be something that's already been made, essentially. Like, you can't make wacky races again, or something like that.
And when I pick a studio, it has to be that studio, or can it be another studio that studio owns?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
All right. Who's ready to pull it out of the oven? Who's got a fresh baked pilot for me?
I'll go, given I don't understand what makes somebody a character or not. But I'm just gonna just gonna go for it.
See what you got.
I'm assuming that celebrities are not characters, so I can do this. And also, I'm not really playing, so it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna pitch you whatever. Would you like to know what I drew, or just tell you about it?
Tell me about it, and then tell me what you drew.
Alright, my cartoon is about a group of 4 Korean rappers who also form into Voltron type mech suits, but it's not like a giant dude, it's actually a giant killer whale, because the rappers happen to be Keith Ape, Occasion, Jay All Day, and we'll go with Ko, because Ko's not Korean, he's Japanese, but Ko's dope as fuck, and he's also in the Cohort. If anybody's unfamiliar with Cohort, they're a hip-hop collective of mostly Korean rappers and a Japanese rapper. This show is produced by William Street. It's just fucking insanity. It's like kind of a mashup of modern hip-hop culture seen through a foreign lens, and more of the effect that modern hip-hop culture has had on other countries, as well as like a kind of parody of like classic anime and Eastern animation, kind of like is it called Senpai? The super senpai people? Sentai, okay.
Senpai means something.
Master or
Yeah,
superior,
okay. Elder.
or, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like they're a super
Upperclassmen.
sentai
Yeah.
group. They, like I said, they pretty much just make dope beats, spit fresh rhymes, and they're out to save the environment underwater, specifically the ocean and various things like that. And they mostly fight like mutated like crab monsters and various things, as well as like I don't know, Andy Milonakis.
Huh.
The show title is Underwater Squad. If anybody's familiar with the most well-known Keith Ape song, Itchy Maw, where they proceed to just scream Underwater Squad under it, because they are the Cohort, and that is my show.
That was a surprising take on that.
I got Team of 4 or 5, William Street, Adult Swim, and the other thing that I picked up was Underwater.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, later on, does G-Dragon come on as like the Green Ranger and he makes like the wings?
See,
So,
The thing is like if you hadn't said like it couldn't have been a established thing, you could have just went with C-Lab. Just remake C-Lab.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and do mine. Get it over with. So, from the studio of Hanna-Barbera, Tom and Jerry have been transported to a utopian future where everyone is really nice. And everybody's really nice and gets along, and Tom and Jerry really don't fit in. And they especially don't fit in when they meet their, what would normally be evil twins, Tim and Johnny. Because Tim and Johnny are best friends, a cat and a mouse. And Tom and Jerry, they actually put aside their differences and stop beating each other up so they can start beating up these guys. So it's Tom and Jerry trying to get the best of Tim and Johnny, who really just want to be friends. You know, and they want to share, and they try to get Tom and Jerry to calm down, stop with the sledgehammers on the head and the, you know, all this stuff and all the hijinks, and just try to make peace. And Tom and Jerry are like, that's not what we're about. And you know, the whole show is basically like in the first episode, you know, they run into these guys, and they just, you know, they decide, you know, obviously they don't talk because Tom and Jerry. Likewise, Tim and Johnny don't talk, but you know, their mannerisms, like Tom and Jerry decide to team up to you know, basically raise hell and cause chaos for Tim and Johnny, which would later, you know, every episode would be Tom and Jerry trying to get the better of Tim and Johnny, and actually failing in every episode, because this is Tim and Johnny, this show, and yeah, and so they would be trying to get the, you know, get the better of them, just like they normally would do with each other. But you know, Tim and Johnny wins out in the end because peace and friendship is more powerful than violence and unnecessary rivalries.
They just came out to have a good time, and they feel so attacked.
Exactly. They're just trying to kill their vibe.
All right. Anyone else got one?
Yeah, it took some finagling, but I think I have it.
I believe
All
in
right.
you.
So,
My trope was twins, by the way. So
Oh, okay.
this is going to start with Chad, who is middle schooler, kind of a dick.
His name's Chad.
Yeah. He
where's the visor?
well, he's like obsessed with school, kind of has a holier than thou attitude.
What a Chad.
You know, he excels at school, but you know, he's rude to his parents, he's rude to his classmates, and you know, like it's a you know, 30 minutes with commercial block. So before the first commercial break, it's going to establish that, and then it's going to end with him freaking out in the car with his mom, and there's an ambiguous car crash, you know? And he wakes up in a classroom when we get back from commercial, and he doesn't recognize any of the students, and the teacher, you never see his face. He's wearing a suit, and he has red hands. And, you know, he looks at his paper, and he's got a big F- on it, zeros. And this is Chad's hell. He, you know, there's a girl in class he has a crush on that won't give him the time of day. You know, obviously attracted to her. I wouldn't say it's a crush point yet. They just met. Everything's going wrong. And then one of his classmates, you know, gives him a little bit of a pep talk, and ends up escaping the classroom. And it turns out that Chad is in hell. It's a CG show because it's from DreamWorks. It has the faceless adult trope, That is the devil.
Mm-hmm.
They never let it be known that it's the devil, but you can infer. And it takes place in hell. And if it goes beyond Pilate, it'll be Chad and the devil, getting kind of the devil gets a fondness for Chad by the end of the pilot too, and it will explore that a little deeper, and maybe Chad can escape kid hell at some point.
What's the title of your show?
I put too much thought into how to make a kid show in hell, and not enough to. It'll be called What the Heck.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I decided to go with existing characters.
Okay.
So Ralph the Wolf, Sam the Sheepdog, a couple of classic Warner Brothers characters. They are getting drunk with Wile E. Coyote, and he got his new shipment in from Acme, and it's a shrinking ray. He's going to use it on the Roadrunner, but for some reason, Ralph the Wolf, he's horribly depressed. He's been drinking himself into a stupor, and he thinks it's a gun, and he shoots himself into the microverse using the shrinking ray. So Ralph the Sheepdog has to go in and save him, and we end up with the misadventures of Ralph and Sam in the microverse. And it's just Sam trying to rescue his depressed co-worker from going in and wreaking havoc in the microverse.
Huh. That's good. I love that.
It's a new Ant-Man movie, I think. Ant-Man 3.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have to say my favorites are Matt and Chris's.
Woo-hoo!
They're both
Good job, guys.
I
very
came up with
good.
one based on what you drew as well.
Yeah.
You what?
I came up with one based on what Matt drew as well.
But this is tough. I want to watch both of your shows equally, but if we're gonna have something that tips it over the edge, I feel like Chris's show would have the most potential of being picked up by like Adult Swim or something like that.
I can't help I drew DreamWorks in that.
I know. That's why it's just the last little straw. So Chris wins.
Good job,
Not
Chris.
that it really mattered to anyone in particular, other than possibly myself as well. My show would also feature guest stars such as Denzel Curry and Ski Mask the Slump God. But based on what you drew, I was thinking about it. It would be about a group of kids, and it'd just be them like pretty much just dirty, kind of like not quite street kids, but just kind of dirty trash kids.
Dirty trash kids.
Running around and
Dang dirt trash kids.
And all the adults would be off screen, the wah 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 wah. But it would be primarily set in wintertime of Hell, Michigan. It would be called Cold as Hell.
Nice.
Oh.
It's DreamWorks.
Yeah,
It's
but-
kid stuff.
Yeah, but they could still say hell because it's in reference to the place.
Not in the title.
Oh heck.
But it's about Michigan. It's not about like the bad place.
The bad place. What was another thing?
I mean, I guess
The
it is
Good Place
Michigan.
is the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Great show.
I was originally going to just pitch an episode of the Jetsons because I was like, Utopian Future, I got this. And Barbera.
You see, I was thinking of calling your show Chad's Inferno, but yeah.
Chad's Inferno.
I like What the Heck though.
All right, so down to the speed round questions. For those of you that have never watched before, I'm going to have a question that whoever answers first gets to rebuttal last. So, they each have 30 seconds and then a 15-second rebuttal after that. And then we decide a winner for it.
We're tied
2-2,
right now, too, right?
You're 2-2.
Fucking Chris.
Thanks to Chris jumping in and just cherry picking that point off you. So,
If I win now, it'll be
Also,
Chris.
I don't know if anybody is actually watching this right now. It says 3 people watching, but I'm also watching.
I'm not watching.
I guess
I watched
2
later.
people are watching.
all right.
Oh
so-
shit! 4
thanks for
people
watching.
watching now. Some
Thanks for watching, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
So,
Dan and Corey.
if you all are ready, the first
Oh, somebody accidentally clicked it.
round question is: what movie had the best animated series that followed it?
That followed it.
Does Batman count?
Batman the Animated Series does not count because it was based on the comics and not the
A
movies.
Goofy movie? Was Goof Troop after a Goofy movie?
Fact check.
I'm almost positive it wasn't. I mean, I can. But,
So like an animated movie that ended up spawning an animated series. So it's
but I would almost.
It doesn't have to be an animated movie. It could be any kind of movie that ended up spawning an animated series.
Yeah. Goof Troop was '92, a Goofy movie. I haven't googled it yet, but also
Yeah.
I don't know quite the continuity in it because Max is older in a Goofy movie than he is in Goof Troop.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, it could be a
I feel like-
live action movie. A
I feel like
cartoon
you and
movie,
I know a
anything.
fuck ton of these because
Uh-huh.
we have kids though.
Yeah.
I'm not great with cartoons, to be honest.
What the fuck you doing
Can
here?
you repeat the question?
I was told
I
to be
thought
here.
you might be because of Sophie. I'm sorry.
I don't really fuck with Peppa Pig, man.
But yeah, just what movie doesn't have to be animated, but what movie spawned the best animated series and go into both the movie and said animated series?
Was Pokemon movie before
The series
Pokemon
was
show?
first.
Okay.
Can
That's
I,
an
can I give
anime.
both of them an answer? And they have to like pick.
No.
Back to the Future.
Was that a cartoon?
Yeah. It was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, well, yeah, if that's a thing, then go for it.
Ghostbusters.
Okay.
How do we both come up with good answers, man?
2 movies that dominated the 80s and their following animated series.
See, my first initial thoughts were How to Train Your Dragon, followed by Kung Fu Panda.
See, I was thinking of like the Men in Black TV show, and also
That cartoon
it
sucks.
sucks so bad. That's what
I would
came to
much
mind.
rather have they made a fucking Wild Wild West cartoon. That would have been
Yeah.
kind of fucking cool. The Men in Black cartoon sucked.
But yeah, there were a couple.
Ooh, better one. Osmosis Jones.
Osmosis fucking Jones. Also, Barnyard ended up being
So it's a,
better than the movie at least.
Yeah, this
Actually,
was
no,
better
wait.
than the movie.
Jimmy fucking Neutron. The entire series spawned off of a movie.
I didn't know that.
I
Yeah.
didn't either. I thought the movie came after.
Nope.
I didn't even know there was a movie.
Yeah. But anyways, you picked
I'm
last,
waiting
so
on the timer.
oh, are you doing it?
I mean, I can maybe.
Okay. No, I can if not.
It's better to have
Yep.
because you got to pay
Can I see
attention.
your phone? For some reason, mine's not pulling up a 30-second timer. How do I switch it?
It's weird.
You could set it for whatever, can't you?
The chime might not go off, so
Yeah, but it's like not letting me pull up fucking. It just has minutes.
that's weird.
Yeah. iPhone 4.
iPhone 4. All right.
You good? Alright, Ghostbusters was a classic movie and it gave us the real Ghostbusters, which works as a better follow up than Ghostbusters 2 ever could have. It gave us more of the 2 things we love from Ghostbusters, the Ecto-1 and Slimer. Slimer became kind of a sidekick / mascot for them, and an iconic character that's remembered today more so from the show than the movie. Granted, the voice cast didn't, or the actors didn't return to voice it, but
that's the thing, is like the best part about Ghostbusters are, you know, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and those characters. In Back to the Future, you know, you have you know, you get to see more of the adventures of Marty McFly and Doc Brown, and you get to you know, expand the universe of Back to the Future more than you can do in just a few movies. Plus, it's animated, so you can do a lot more on a lower budget and do it every week on, you know, your Saturday morning cartoons. Whereas with Ghostbusters, like I said, you lose a lot whenever you lose the, you know.
It's time, but your phone won't go locked.
Oh. Okay. All right, Matt.
the cast they got for the real Ghostbusters did a great job at filling those roles. The writing was spot on. You lost Christopher Lloyd with that, with yours. The real Ghostbusters, it gave us more. I don't have to talk again for a while. So I'm a little sicker.
You know, like I said, with Ghostbusters, like without Bill Murray, without Dan Aykroyd, without Harold Ramis, you lose most of the substance of the movie. I mean, Slimer didn't even matter in the movie, really. With you know, Back to the Future.
All right, Ghostbusters wins.
I was real curious which Ghostbusters cartoon you were going with, and then you said the real Ghostbusters.
All right, score is currently 3 Matt, Kyle 2.
I also would have my counter argument against the Back to the Future. I would have been. I didn't know there was a Back to the Future.
I almost said
Me
that,
neither.
but I wanted to finish my. I feel like my butt left him open for a takedown, so I had to finish that statement.
But based on that train of thought, fucking Bill and Ted, Excellent Adventure. That was a great cartoon.
I've never seen it. I watched the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes cartoon.
Oh, that was,
Ooh,
yeah,
that's
that's a
the fucking
good one.
answer.
That shit ruled.
Yeah,
that
I
was
actually
the answer.
went as Patch for my one of my first Halloween trick or treat things.
That's great. All right, so the next speed round question: Disney or Warner Bros.
Disney.
Warner Brothers, I guess.
And in terms of cartoons, explain why. So you're first. All right.
Warner Brothers has a wider, you know, array of characters to pull from instead of just having to do Mickey Mouse over and over and Goofy and whatnot. I mean, you have Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, and like all these other characters. Marvin the Martian has standalones. I mean, you can't do that with fucking Pluto. Whereas, you know, with Warner Brothers, you know, they've been around almost as long. And they have, you know, they have more interesting cartoons, more entertaining cartoons. They can show more violence.
Disney has been a pinnacle of animation since its inception, and it has remained a powerhouse in it today. It is the source of animation. They gave you some of the most classic, memorable animated movies, as well as some great TV shows: Goof Troop, Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, shit that will forever be fucking remembered. Warner Brothers, the best thing they have going for their animation is their DC expanded stuff, which is good, but I can't tell you another.
Okay.
The DC, animated stuff is good, but do you guys remember fucking Space Jam? The soundtrack alone was fucking amazing. Disney doesn't have that. Every one of their movies is a musical, and it's not as good as the fucking soundtrack to Space Jam, let alone having Michael Jordan, Bugs Bunny, Marvin the Martian, Taz.
Space Jam does not hold up. You know what holds up? Steamboat Willie. That shit's in black and white, and people still can tell you what it is and how good it is. Disney, they're unstoppable. I mean, this isn't even a fair fight. I said Disney first. Like,
Oh, that's rough. I'm surprised you just didn't bring up Batman the Animated Series.
Well, I like kind of touched on the DC stuff, but not that in particular, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that goes to Matt.
In my opinion, yeah, fucked up when you went to Space Jam instead of the Animaniacs, which is arguably the best cartoon show of all time.
True.
It was implied.
All right. So what's our score now?
42.
4-2. And we played a what, 5?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next speed round question. Best voice acting performance by an A-list celebrity.
Mark Hamill as the Joker.
is he A-list?
He's Luke fucking Skywalker.
I don't know if that's Googleable.
Is this
He has it locked in if that is.
this
A-list.
movies too?
Movies too.
I feel like there's not an actual list out there.
Right.
like,
Just
Yeah.
look through the whole A list
like,
and see who's out there.
See if just Google is Mark Hamill A-list, an A-lister.
he's on a list on IMDb stars who faded from A-list stars to B-list or became washed up, but like that's still
It was an
opinionated.
A-list, right?
Okay.
Like that's still like because it's not like an official
I mean,
IMDb list. It's something somebody made. I mean, Michael Keaton's #1 on this. I wouldn't say Michael Keaton's fucking washed up.
I wouldn't say he's A-list either, though.
Oh no, you seen that Jack Frost movie or whatever it was called where he's snowman dad after he gets in a car wreck?
Yeah.
I say just count it. That
Yeah.
was more like a.
Mark Hamill. We'll go with
that was more of like a. He's A-list. Like.
All right. What are you going with?
Shit. I guess I'm gonna go with the only thing that won't escape my head. Bill Murray, Garfield.
Okay. I mean, the answer was
Wait,
Will Smith in Shark Tale, but we'll continue.
what, did it say animated movie or animated best voice performance?
Best voice acting performance by an A-list celebrity.
Okay, so that still fits.
All right.
Even though it's a live action movie with an animated character.
Yeah, that works. All right, whenever you're ready, Matt.
The quality of the movie Garfield aside, Bill Murray delivers. He doesn't phone it in, even though he probably should have. He brought his A game. He sounds exactly like we remember Garfield from the animated series of Garfield. It's like he's channeling those actors. He does the deadpan. He does the straight man perfectly, and that's what's required.
Whenever you're ready.
Mark Hamill has played as voice acted as the Joker for decades, and most people who like the role will tell you that Mark Hamill is the best Joker. In the Batman the Animated Series as well as the Arkham games, He really, sold the creepiness of the Joker and just nailed what that character was as far as just the mayhem and the madness and also the hilarity, and really made you feel like that guy is fucking crazy. With Bill Murray as Garfield, it's like it's forgettable. I mean, I love Bill Murray, but it's forgettable. No one cares.
All right, 15 seconds on the clock.
Bill Murray in Garfield is the shining moment of that movie. That movie will be remembered, and it's simply because of Bill Murray's performance. Sure, Mark Hamill, he had to step up and do a creepy voice, but Bill Murray's is more nuanced.
Batman the Animated Series is one of the greatest cartoons of all time. And a large part of that is due to Mark Hamill's portrayal of the Joker. Possibly one of the best, possibly the best performance in that show, just because of the dynamic and the range that he has to have to really play that character.
All right, Mark Hamill wins.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why I could only think of Garfield. Like, that is not the right answer.
You've been around me too much. I'm sorry.
Also, hey, Monday. It's because I fucking chat.
All right, we're currently 4-3. The next speed round question coming at you. Worst televised cartoon series of all time. Not YouTube or anything like that. Televised.
VeggieTales.
Is that really what you're going with? We've talked a lot about VeggieTales tonight.
It doesn't change anything. Worst televised cartoon series of all time.
All time.
Period. Full stop.
Full stop. It's a toughie.
It is.
I got one.
I don't even know that one.
I was watching it like a month ago. It was real low, but kind of real dope. It's everything you would expect out of a title like that.
Worst televised animated series. God.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with VeggieTales for real.
Okay.
Bless. I don't know if it was televised. Was Bratz televised?
I believe so. Yes,
Okay, Bratz.
it is on Cartoon Network.
I would have went with Johnny Test, but
I don't know what that is.
You know, Sophie watches that, and like when she said that, I was like, "Is this like Johnny Quest?" I'm like, "No, this is nothing like Johnny Quest."
It was just like a really bad reverse Dexter's Lab. But, alright. Bratz, whenever you got it. Oh, here, let me get that timer up.
Yeah.
Alright.
Bratz is just an abortion of a show. It teaches people, like little girls, that fucking socialite culture is okay. Like, Barbie used to do that and then stopped, and because they knew that it was bad on these impressionable people. There's no redeeming quality to Bratz. The animation isn't good. The voice acting's phoned in. And it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It's purely manufactured drivel to sell a new doll every month, and it's bullshit. I don't remember what you
Time.
said.
sorry, thing didn't start, or my phone locked. But yep.
So the thing is with Bratz, it's fluff, but it's fine. It's just, another fluff show for kids. Whereas VeggieTales is religious indoctrination, and even from a Christian perspective, it's a bastardization of the stories. It doesn't really tell the stories like they are, and the children, don't end up learning the story that their parents even want them to learn. Aside from the fact that it's inappropriate to, indoctrinate children into, the complex world of religion. And the societal implications that has.
Right.
I don't feel VeggieTales is actually an indoctrination. It is just a telling of classic stories for children. Bratz is far worse for children, especially young females, because they...
Time.
With Bratz, like I said, it's fluff. So what? They show a hierarchy and stuff like you show in school about friends and their new clothes and stuff like that. Versus, like I said, the wide-ranging societal implications of indoctrinating children is something they don't understand.
VeggieTales racking them up. VeggieTales wins that one.
More VeggieTales?
It was the worst TV cartoon ever.
Alright, the correct answer... Actually, first I want to state, I don't think either of you have actually ever watched the Bratz TV show.
I haven't.
It's about 4 teenage girls running a magazine.
See, that's great. Camaraderie and business etiquette.
And the correct answer for worst televised cartoon show of all time happens to be a show I kind of really enjoy, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
What?
I played the
That was
game.
alright.
I've not watched the TV
I read the
show,
comic book of that.
but I played the game.
Show's not very bueno, but kind of real kick-ass.
Is there an orange lighter floating around here?
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, so we are 4-4. Correct.
Game point.
Tiebreaker. Last question. Winner takes all. Best cartoon series that didn't finish.
Reboot.
Like, just got canceled mid-season.
Well, got canceled without concluding the story.
Okay.
Reboot proper.
Right. OG reboot.
I'm gonna go with Beast Wars. I don't know if it really qualifies though, honestly. I'm unfamiliar with the end.
I mean, it's all CGI, so it's still cartoon.
Yeah, no, I mean I didn't know if it qualified as far as when it got canceled.
See,
I don't remember if it finished.
they wrapped it up, and then they did Beast Machines, which is like a sequel series to it.
Yeah, I think there's a point on that. Because that's more than finishing it. That's continuing it even further. Gotta have the perfect answer for this.
I have the best answer for this. Matt knows my answer. I'm surprised Matt didn't say my answer.
I feel more strongly about my answer.
Yeah. I feel like I'm the only person that feels so strongly about my answer. But
See, I'm still upset to this day about my answer.
but have you been upset since 92?
No.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, that's when I was born. I've always been obsessed.
Born upset about it.
Which I don't know when that show got canceled. But something. No, 93. That was close.
This is adult or kids cartoons.
Right. Does it count if it came back after getting canceled?
No.
Like, no, I can't use it if it came back after getting canceled.
Yeah, you can't use Futurama now.
I was going to say Family Guy.
I would argue against using Family Guy in general because there's not an overarching story to it
Yeah.
for it to really have an ending.
I just want to like throw my answer into your brain.
I really, like, see, the problem is I've not watched
Everyone's watched my show.
a lot of cartoons in their entirety to be able to tell.
Oh, I know what you picked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this it?
No, but that's a great answer.
It's the. I don't remember what Matt said, but I'm surprised Matt didn't say that answer. What did you say?
Reboot.
Okay.
All right. If he can't come up with one, I have a system for a handicap. I'll give him an answer, but he only gets 15 seconds each time, while you get 30 and then 15.
You might not have seen your answer.
He has. Everyone's seen this one. Do you want to do that?
I'm
You
cool
can-
with that. Everyone might be here all night.
You've
If
seen.
you're cool with that.
You've seen Teen
We'll
Titans.
see.
You've seen Teen Titans. Yeah. You can use that. It didn't finish.
Okay. Are you cool? You say you're cool with that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Going down to 15.
I'm curious what your answer was.
Oh, my answer was Metalocalypse.
That's a good one. I'll stick with Reboot though.
And I have to go first, right?
Yep.
Teen Titans had a lot of complex stories and was the best portrayal of these characters. Teen Titans Go ruined it. Reboot was like a little known show that, if it was more popular, it wouldn't have gotten canceled probably.
Alright, up to 30. Alright.
Season 1 of Reboot is episodic in nature and it establishes these characters, and then you get to Season 2 and it gets epic. They introduce Hexadecimal and Andrea, and it gets fucking intense. Enzo becomes a battle-hardened badass. Bob is just the shit. He's kind of like computer messiah, and then it just ends without conclusion. Teen Titans ended, and we got Young Justice, which I feel is a better portrayal of the...
Teen Titans was also better animation than Teen Titans Go, obviously, whereas like Reboot's animation, it sucks, it doesn't hold up like Teen Titans does, and at this point no one wants to see that finished in the way that it was started, where with Teen Titans you do have that. You have people who would watch that same animation today.
By the conclusion of Reboot, the animation was a hell of a lot better, and if another season it would have only improved and then improved and improved. Teen Titans, the animation is not as good as Young Justice, the storytelling's not as good as Young Justice. Young Justice is a better show, and we couldn't have both.
Yeah, it's going to Reboot.
Good game.
The correct answer is Pirates of Darkwater.
But no, Metalocalypse, man.
See, I love Metalocalypse, but again, I haven't watched it thoroughly enough to know that it.
Like they had this whole overarching like the end of the world thing, and this organization that's prolonging it, and then it's gone. And the producers of it can't, like the people that made it aren't allowed to continue it because it's owned by Adult Swim, and Adult Swim won't fund further creation of it.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks. But all right, that was our cartoon debate.
Thanks for tuning in.
Our champion, Matt.
Champion,
man.
winner.
No,
Winner.
Not champion yet.
Not champion yet, but our winner of today.
Get my blood pressure up, motherfucker.
Don't worry, the belt's still sitting in there. Tune in the future. We're going to end up having a, what was it? A championship where the winner will walk away with a championship belt.
And a
for
quarter
Real
of a
Dumb
million
Debates.
brownie points.
Yeah, I'm hoping on like the anniversary to do the movie championship,
Oh, that'd be cool.
and then after that do like the subcategory championships.
That'd be really good.
So
But thanks for tuning in, y'all.
Check us out next Saturday. And again,
yeah, next Saturday we got Jim back. Colin will be in the hot seat, and Joel will be making his debut. I'll be judging, and it'll be movies.
again, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, check out the RealDumb.com website. Watch all of our shit, man.
Yeah, check out our reviews. If this isn't your thing, I doubt you've made it far enough to see this, but we have some reviews posted too.
That's all, folks.
I don't think you can say that.
I didn't stutter.